I can share it with Darren tomorrow or early next week. So we have Larry White on the call today. Larry, want to do a brief introduction?
Yeah, most of the names and stuff look familiar and stuff on here but for those of you that don't know me, I've done a lot of work with auction.com, Carrington Real Estate Services, Zome, Mr. Cooper, Nation Star, and now I have the opportunity to consult for about 7 or 8 different asset management companies and just try and help them fill their needs with whatever they're looking for across the country. So thanks for having me on here, Eric.
Awesome. And we have Jeff Russell on the call today.
Hey everybody. Like Larry, I know most of y'all on here. I think there's a couple names that I don't look familiar, but uh been in the business for going on 30 years now. Oof, aging out of REO, right? And I been doing REO for the whole time. That's how I got in the business, and just grateful to be here and part of ADR, and ready to do some masterminding.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. And we also have Robert Welcart.
Hi, this is Robert Weichelt. No relation to the Weichart family. It's great to be here, man. I tell you, Jeff and Larry and Eric, you guys, I appreciate what you're doing here. My name's Robert Weichelt. I'm a broker associate. I spent some time in the early 90s in the REO business in the glue stick era. When we'd run to take a property photos, we'd go to the 1 hour photo mart, we'd wait there for an hour impatiently, run to the office, bust out the typewriter, type up our BPOs, glue stick our photos on, and then haul ass to FedEx. And then we'd rinse and repeat and do that literally every single day, Saturday and Sunday included. Fast forward to the early 2000s, it became a little bit more technologically advanced, and everything was all done through portals, ResNet, Equator. Back in the day, it was called ReoTrans. So did a lot. We were averaging about 385 active listings during that time. Fast forward to now, I do a lot of corporate training for REO. I help agents not only in the REO space, but the pre-foreclosure space, NODs, NOTs, and the like. So great to be here. Can't wait to share what we got going on.
Awesome. And finally, Kelly Jones is joining us today.
Oh, Kelly Jones here. I know a lot of you as well. I'm Jeff's, I guess we could say, operations manager. I don't know what you want to call me. But I am any admin side of things or any type of operations things. I'm here to help anyone on the call.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate everybody jumping on today. And again, we'll keep this as like a roundtable discussion. You guys can just chime in as we ask the questions. And then if our guests, anybody else on the call wants to chime in as well, feel free to do so. Again, this is, we're just learning from each other today. We had some questions come up over the last month or so that we thought were pertinent. So we'll just put these to everybody on the panel and everybody in the call. But the first question I wanted to ask basically is, how would you characterize the current REO scene right now, the default market compared to years past? And I'll just throw that out to the panel.
I'll go ahead and answer that. So there's always been a trickle of REO for us, hardcore core REO guys and gals out here. I'm noticing in the last few months, it's starting to increase quite a bit here in the LA County area. I do a report for US REO Partners every month, and I did it for the month of April last week, and there were 82 properties that went to sheriff's sale in just LA County alone yesterday, which is, it's not a ton, but it's just a lot more from months and years prior. And a lot of people say there's not going to be a lot of REO, Jeff, because everybody's got equity. Well, not everybody's still making their payments, so there still is REO, and that's why out of those 82 properties that went to sale, 31 of them went third party to an investor because there was enough equity there, right? And then 51 of them went to back to the bank, the beneficiary, because they were, the value is lower than the amount owed. So I'm just seeing an uptick in that. Also, I'm seeing that most of at least my stuff's coming from hedge funds versus the institutional lenders, or even the bigger asset management companies. And I'm seeing that the value, relatively speaking, at least here in California, the values are way, higher than obviously the last run back in '07, but they're just I see a lot of REOs in LA County, and there's a lot of them that are like in the millions. So yeah.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, thanks for that perspective. Does anybody else want to chime in on that question?
Yeah, I'll jump in here as well. And you know, here's the thing. I think this is a totally different market, and there will be just as many opportunities as the last market. Now, it will not be started by real estate, right? Like we don't have as many subprime loans and this and this and this, but you got to look at where we're at, and some of the KPIs and stuff that I'm looking at are consumer debt is at an all-time high right now, right? And that's kind of step one as people start to get in trouble. Auto default loans are at an all-time high, and look at how fast that shifted, right? In 2020, 2021, you couldn't find a new car on the lot. You would drive by a dealership and it was empty, no cars. And it's a supply and demand type thing, right? There was a shortage of chips and all of these other things that went into this. Now you have some used car lots that have 17, 18 months supply of inventory. You're seeing, you know, this increase in prices and stuff still with daily goods, but you're not seeing the same thing on the growth of people's income. And I truly believe that there's been a lot of people not paying since the beginning of 2020, but they've been disguised as loan modifications, loan workouts, different programs to keep people in their home. But now that the moratoriums and stuff have ended, these have to come through to the market somehow. Otherwise, you'll start to see banks and stuff collapsing. So this is where, you know, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but as Jeff said, you know, there's a lot of stuff coming from hedge funds right now. There's a lot of things coming from private money lenders. And this is the most luxury REO inventory I've ever seen. And that means like north of 700,000. Like it's not uncommon to see that on a weekly basis when that used to be the exception and not the rule. So again, the market will be different, but I do think that there will be just as many opportunities if you set yourself up correctly.
Yeah, thanks for that perspective, Larry. Appreciate that. Does anybody else on the panel want to opine on that question?
I can certainly expand on it. Like what Jeff said, there's a lot of folks with equity. And I always like to make this disclosure on calls like this. I do not want to see anyone, not one person, lose their home ever. However, we don't have a lot to say in that. So I just like to make that disclosure. There's a lot of folks, like Larry said, that consumer debt is an all-time high. Pay attention to the TV ads and you're seeing on social media, cash out refinance. What that means, that's an equity zapper is what that is. People are living off their credit cards. They're overextending themselves and they pull cash out of their home and then they pay those debts off and then they rinse and repeat and do it again. That's what's happening that I can see in this market. Credit cards, car payments are all defaulting, but pay attention to the ads and the cash outs. But I think the biggest thing is there was 17 defaults just this morning in my market, just in San Diego County. That's a lot of activity going on in that space. And as a traditional agent, which we all are right now, for the most part, we don't have the 385 active listings like we did last time. It's going to be a different market. I would recommend you pay attention to the notice of default, notice of trustee in your area. Pay attention to that, be a resource. What's happening. So that's what I do is I'm a pre and post foreclosure expert. So I want to help people try to keep their home. In the event they cannot, we transition them, and you're learning a base. You're positioning yourself for the default space when you work the pre-foreclosures.
All right, I saw your hand was up. Did you have something else?
Yeah, I just wanted to tie that all together because Jeff had made some comments about this and Robert did as well. When we start talking about equity, right, that's, oh, it could never happen again, right? And when people start telling me, oh, it could never happen again, I'm like, oh shit, it's going to happen again, right? Like, you know, when everybody becomes an expert in it. But one of the things, have homes appreciated 1,000%, right? We're at all-time high for housing value. We're at an unaffordability crisis, which is why I think there has to be some correction. But when we start talking about equity, in 2020, all you had to do was call your bank and say, hey, I'm in sales, right? Like I can't even go outside and show homes right now. Like I'm going to have a hard time making my payment. And the bank would have offered you, well, would it help if you didn't make a payment for a year? Yes, absolutely. That is not pro bono. That does not just poof and disappear. They're not giving you charity or anything like that. What they're going to do is they're going to gather up all of your payments and tack it onto the back end of the loan. So if you owned 325, now you owe 375. So if you had equity, that along with the refinances and stuff like that are also getting chewed up really quickly. So again, just some things to think about there. And as Jeff and Robert were talking, it kind of sparked to that as well. And I wanted to make sure we got that out.
Yeah, fantastic. And just to reiterate what the question was is how would you characterize the current REO and default space right now, and how's this compared to other cycles? Does anybody else have any insight or anything else that you guys want, what you think, or anything that you're seeing right now that could be a little bit different?
Hi, can you hear me? Jerry Pagano.
Hey, Jerry, good to see you.
Hey, what's going on? So, very, very interesting how hedge funds and some other clients are working. It kind of seems like they're working backwards from what we used to do. But what I mean by that is, before we used to get the asset, go there, do occupancy, and it's yours. Now, basically, they're giving you the asset. They want you to do all the work and babysit, and then sometimes, you know, you got it for. I got several over a year and a half. They do babysit, and some of them are say, okay, now they paid up and you know, just let it go. So it's a little bit more of rate work than it was before, which I don't mind, but it's pretty interesting, you know. So those days of taking a picture of the toilet and put it on the MLS and selling it is gone. They want technology. They want the tripod. They want the Zoom. They want floor plan, and you always got to stay on top of your technology, or it should be out. So
Yeah, that's actually going to dovetail to my next question. So that was pretty impactful the way you said that, Jerry. Thanks for that those comments. Anything else that you guys wanted to chime in on before I move on to the next question? So the other thing that we've been seeing, this dovetails into exactly what you're saying, Jerry, is how has technology changed your approach to REO and default servicing? What are some of the things you're being tasked to do? What are some of the things that, and now we haven't even touched this yet, but AI is going to be huge. We've been talking, at least Larry and I and some people in our group, Jeff as well, and Kelly have been talking a little bit how AI is going to be impacting our organizations, the way the agents that we service, the agents that we have in our organizations, but just technology in general. How's it impacting you guys out there? We'll open up to the panel first. Kelly, Larry, Robert, and Jeff, and then we can open up to the rest of the call.
So in my eyes, this is where we should all be leaning into. As Jerry mentioned, right? Like, clients want more. And here's the thing, technology makes it easier for us to provide more as well, right? It no longer costs us $800 to get all of these things on these properties and stuff that didn't make sense. With that technology, it's brought the cost down and made it more available to everybody. But if you are not leaning into AI, guys, like, I don't care if it's traditional business, I don't care if it's retail business. Yeah, AI will not replace you. The agents that are using AI will replace you because they're going to be able to scale. They're going to be able to be more consistent, and they're going to be able to use it. I was on a mastermind call this morning with Leo Pareja, and like, that was our entire conversation with 200 of the most productive agents in the country was just around AI. And actually, our action item for today was go into ChatGPT and create a Larry bot, right? And when they said that was take all of the content that I have online, right? Anything that it can find, dump it into there, have it start creating kind of a profile. So it starts understanding how I speak, how I respond to things. And then once it has a base created, go in and have it ask me 40 additional questions randomly. So that way it can start to learn me. And this is where you'll start to see like AI bots and stuff like that, that can take care of a lot of your guys's daily tasks. I don't know if anybody's using it, but Fixer AI, right, has changed the game for email by organizing your email, starting to write prompts, etc. And the more you use it, the better it gets to know you and sound like you at the end of the day. The other thing is that OpenAI, which owns ChatGPT, just spent oh my gosh, I don't want to quote the number. It was an astronomical number in the billions that they just acquired another AI company, and it's 75 times the EBITDA. So if you don't know what that means, if you were going to sell your company right now, they'd create a value, and generally you get 3 to 10 times EBITDA when you're selling your company. It is coming whether you want it to or not, and this is the time for you guys to lean in and get ahead of it. Doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your skin color, doesn't matter your personality. Like, use it or it's going to use you at this point in time. So I think technology is something we all need to be leaning into right now.
Larry, if you can put that in the chat, the name of that program, I think Jeff put it in, but I don't know if it's Fixer or is it Flixer. But if you can put that in the chat, Jerry was asking about that.
Yep.
But what's the rest of the panel think? How have you guys, I mean, Kelly, what are you seeing with AI? With you're handling a lot of stuff on the buy side. Have you had to tap into AI? Is it, or technology in general? Has that been a big part of your attraction or your way to get clients recently?
I think she's on the phone, so I'll answer for now.
Okay. I saw
Just because I see she's muted.
I see that too.
So, I mean, we're using it for obvious stuff, descriptions and all that kind of stuff. That's great, because that was gosh, in real estate, that's one of my hardest things to do is write the darn description, right? But man, our descriptions look so wonderful and elegant now. You can, especially with REOs, you can, talk about lipstick on a pig, right? But we're using it for listing and buyer presentations. It's actually creating slides, like a slideshow for us. I mean, I was just on a Club Wealth call this morning, and this stuff was just flying way over my head, and that goes to the point that, like Larry talked about and I've talked about in the past. If we don't embrace this now, we're going to be behind the 8 ball, and other agents are going to be eating our lunch. So we all need to start embracing this. But there are so many different things that the AI does for you. AI will now, I don't know, some of you probably know this, I didn't until like a couple weeks ago, but on ChatGPT, you can load a photo in that's empty room, and this is great for us REO folks, right? Empty room, you put in there, stage this contemporary or stage this modern or whatever, and it'll literally take your same picture and stage it, just like, you would pay a box brownie to do, which was pretty expensive. And now you can do that for free. So there's just so many different things that I don't even know about. None of us know about. And it's evolving so fast every day. So, I missed the call with Leo this morning. I goofed on that, Larry. I wonder if it was recorded, but anyway, I was on a Club Wealth call at that same time, and we were talking about the same thing. AI is like AI. And if you don't embrace it, then you're going to get left in the dust.
And those things that Jeff are talking about, those are what's going to set you apart from your competition, right? Going to your asset managers and being like, hey, I hope you don't mind, I took the liberty of staging this property so we get more traffic on it, right? Like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's what's going to light them up and get you ahead of the game, right? You're trying to add value to an asset manager. Think about like looking at your competitors, pulling their pictures and saying, hey, these are the pictures that are currently online. As a trusted client, like, I want to make sure you get I staged these pictures for you. It's not my listing or anything, but maybe you want to give this to the listing agent so you guys can get more traffic and activity. Dang, right? Like, imagine doing something like that and then them looking and being like, well, hell, why isn't our listing agent doing this now? Like, this is where you need to start thinking on how you add value to your consumers, your clients, your asset managers at this point.
I'm gonna have a follow-up question in just a second, but I wanted to get Robert's take on it too, because I know he uses technology, he uses it pretty handily because he basically does everything from Zoom calls. So it's kind of a different perspective. But I wanted to, tap into Robert and see what his perspective was on all this.
Well, I was just taking some notes, but I was thinking anytime you take a class, whether it be this AI and anything you're doing, you're adding to your knowledge base, you need to make sure that you're putting it on your resume. And what I mean by that is your resume is not something you give to a bank, but it's when you go to your platforms, Equator, ResNet, Pyramid, when you're updating your profiles, make sure you're adding every time you take new training, new certification, add it to that. But yeah, I take, in regarding Zoom, I take all of my listings via Zoom. I'm traveling the country in our RV. We're currently in Kentucky, just moved our daughter here. So I'm always looking for efficient and effective ways to be proactive and efficient and effective. I mean, that's just basically the way it is. And using Zoom, actually, what's funny, it's funny to admit this, but Jeff Russell's the one that taught me how to use Zoom. I didn't know how to log into Zoom, let alone use Zoom. And now it's like the biggest part of my life, right, Angela? But I think when you take listings via Zoom, it seems like it's just so much easier. But yeah, technology is something we all need to embrace. I think the biggest thing I would be cautious about is putting too much. Just really focus in on what works. What you get from masterminds like this, like what Jeff and Larry and Eric just talked about, use that. Don't go, well, I'm going to go research my own. No, we've done all that. And Larry's the king of this. He's the king of doing all the research and then rolling it out. So when Larry drops a link in the chat box, that's the one I go to. I don't waste my time. I don't have enough brain capacity, just so we're clear. I don't want to have to recreate the wheel. So technology is key, but make sure you're updating your profiles in all the different dashboards, and make sure that you're updating your information. So the banks, when they're looking for somebody, they're looking for somebody that's actually taking listings right now, and they're using the latest technology.
So I wanted to go back. I saw Kelly's back on, so I wanted to ask her as well because Kelly does a lot with buyers, and I wanted to see what her perspective was on technology from that viewpoint. Because most of us we love the listings, we love getting the listings, but the reality is a lot of us still have to handle buyers, or we have buyers teams that work with us. So Kelly, what do you think? What are you using, or what are you seeing with technology right now, and how is it helping or maybe not helping, the situation?
I would just say, like, just making sure that you have your buyers in some type of automation drip campaign and utilizing your CRM for searches, so that way they're dripping them. I don't really use a lot of technology for the buyers. I think the main thing is um, the automation piece of it, having some type of drip campaign with, email with a video, a text with a video, or something where you're hitting the buyer, but then also making using video to uh, maximize the um, maximize the views, and you get more responses with video. So I would say that that's the biggest for me.
Yeah, I know you showed us something a few weeks ago where you had done a video, in a listing. I think it was maybe pre-showing or pre-open house or something like that. And I thought it was a great touch, and I think that's definitely a great use of technology. So here's my follow-up question for the panel. If you just do like a rapid fire, if you could pick just three programs or three systems, like right now we have Netflix, we have Amazon, we have all these things we have to choose to subscribe to. So in our family, it's way too many, and some of them we don't even use. But if you only had to pick three systems you would have to pay for, like for instance, like a KV Core, or maybe I don't even know what's out there, iList, or um, I don't know, ZenList, or whatever programs. What three programs would you choose, or would you feel is like vital? That has to be in your arsenal, and it can only be three. Larry, what do you think?
So for time and efficiency, Fixer AI is kind of become a must for me right now, just to be able to, weed through hundreds of emails in a very short period of time. Chat GPT, but using Chat GPT, like to getting it to like ask it more questions, right? Like ask it, what does it see happening in the market? Where are going to be the opportunities? What companies are interested in that? Like use that to help you prospect, right? Like it will research and gather all of the data and information and stuff that you're looking for. So Fixer AI, Chat GPT, and then, man, the last one would be either like an iList or an Easy Street offers. So that way you always have offers on your properties and stuff that are coming through. So those would probably be the three that I'm leaning into heaviest right now.
Okay, cool. Kelly, what are your three?
With AI?
No, just in general, like just like must have paid programs that you have to have.
Oh, paid. Well, ChatGPT for sure. I would say Canva, absolutely for some type of marketing. I know not, everyone's with different brokerages on here. Canva's crucial. And I would say some type of note taker. I've noticed a lot of AI programs coming out that have really good note takers. And when we have meetings, like for me, like if I'm running a meeting and I have to take notes, which I've been doing a lot on our huddles every morning, it's really hard. Having like a really good note, there's a lot of good note takers out there. I think that's really you're gonna see more and more of those coming out, and I feel like that. Fixer. Jeff just said Fixer. Yeah, Fixer. It's FYXER.ai. That's a new AI that EXP just launched, and that's it's really powerful.
So Jeff, this is going to be impossible for you to answer, but you can only get to pick three. So because I know you probably have 150.
What do you mean? I already had 20. I was just trying to do the process of elimination here.
Yeah, give me your top three.
Well, I mean, I can't believe nobody said this, but this platform we're on right now, Zoom, like, how could we do business without Zoom? I mean, I know there's Google Meets, but I hate Google Meets. When someone sets an appointment up on Google Meets, I have Kelly switch it, say, please move them to Zoom. Anyway, Zoom, I wish I would have bought stock in it back in January 2000. My CRM, I didn't hear anybody say that, but I mean, I heard you touch on it. You said KV Core or something, Eric, but I mean, the CRM, if I had a CRM back when I started real estate in 1999, and I was selling, 30 properties a month, REO, back in the day. If I had a CRM, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be retired. I'd be on a boat out in the Newport Bay right now. But, my dumb ass, excuse the French, did not have a CRM. I had, was top producer, paid for it, but never even used it. But you got to have a CRM, everybody. Please, if there's nothing else you do in your business, that would be probably number one. Have a CRM, but not only have it, because if people say which one, well, the one you use. Have a CRM that you use. I'm in my CRM 3 to 4 hours a day, and my production completely shows that, right? My production has gone from here to here. So CRM, Zoom, and then last Chat GPT. Those are my three top ones.
Great. Robert, what are your top three?
Well, Jeff, you left a really powerful one out, and that's Property Radar, brother.
Yeah, that's property, especially on this call, right? Yeah, you're right.
So
you
I
mean
have
foreclosure radar.
Yeah, it used to be Foreclosure Radar. Then we went up to Sean's place and rebranded it. My list, I list Larry for cash offers. If you don't have iList, you're missing out huge. Even if nobody takes the cash offer, especially when you're working with default folks, that somebody needs some instant gratification, get that offer right away, stave off that foreclosure. Having a cash offer solution is absolutely mandatory. iList, in my opinion, is the best system out there. I use My Plus Leads for FSBO expireds, pre-foreclosure. Absolutely mandatory. We have to make sure that we're doing now business and setting us up for future business. And then like you all said, and I think everybody knows this, like KV Core is absolutely a godsend. If you're not following up with your database, somebody else is. So those are my three. iList, My Plus Leads, of course, Property Radar, and KV Core. Those are the ways you put it all together.
Yeah, and I just put it out there, the top three, because I knew you guys had a lot more that you used, but I just wanted I wanted to prioritize it. I wanted to open up to the whole network right now. And what do you guys feel would be worth paying for program wise? I mean, I know some of us, it's different brokerages, we get stuff as part of our brokerage fee, but what are you paying for? What do you see a value out there, in addition to what we just talked about? Anybody using anything different? Any other programs?
I use I Spy. It's a 3D tour. It's $18 a month, and it's $1 per room. And I usually take that as soon as of the occupancy, makes a 3D tour floor plan, send it to the asset manager, have an idea what it looks like. And then especially it comes really, really nice when it's in between of the rehab. I do it before, in between, and after. And actually the asset manager could actually talk to you on the phone, and you can walk to each room to show them what's going on. And it's really cheap.
It's called I Spy.
I Spy 360. It's $18 a month, and it's
Okay.
$1 for each room.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Jerry. Anybody else? Anybody else have any favorites that you're using that maybe haven't been mentioned today? All right. Well, there's a lot out there, and there's going to be even more. And I think the reason why I brought that question up is because I feel like it can become overwhelming. Like we get all this promotion coming to us from email, and I'm a sucker. I'll do everything under the sun, but I want to also do things that work. So, I've been using CRM Grow as one of my CRMs, and I also use KV Core. Those have been good for me. And then I haven't been paying for Chat GPT, but it sounds like it's something I should be paying for. I've been using the free version. I created today's agenda using it. Actually did a pretty good job. We're not even halfway through the agenda. I'm not going to get through the whole agenda today, but it gave me things to ask, and it was really good for me. So back to the panel. Next question, and maybe the last question, because we're hitting a hard break here at 2 p.m. Eastern. But the question I have is, what are the biggest opportunities in the default market you're seeing over the next 12 to 24 months? And I'd even say maybe expand that to the next 3 years. I mean, we're definitely in a market shift right now. I don't think anybody on this call would disagree or argue about that. That we're seeing things that are not what we've seen in the past. But where do you see the opportunities, panel? Where do you see us going as REO agents and as traditional agents?
I personally see, as far as listing opportunities, private money lending is probably the biggest opportunity because it's the fastest, right? You don't have to worry about owner occupancy laws and rules and things like that. And so those clients can foreclose on the property much faster than a Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie type loan that might be stuck in this red tape and minutia. So that's a big one. Those also seem to be higher price points right now as well, because people have to pay a lot of money to borrow when they look in the private money side. So the private money side is a must for me. And then here's the thing, guys, like we've all been in this business for a little while. There used to be hundreds of asset management companies. There might be 10 to 15 that have relevance today, right? That have any sort of business. And this is where I would be leaning into those clients, because, Darren couldn't be here today because he had a mandatory meeting with one of the largest SFR owners in the country, right? So those 10 to 15 companies now are capturing market share, right? I was talking to PIMCO earlier this week that's taking down 2 or 3 additional portfolios and stuff there, right? And looking on where those will be coming through and stuff like that. So leaning into the clients that are out there and adding more value to them, along with private money, would be my 2 things that I focus on right now.
Thanks, Larry. Panel, just shoot it out. Jeff, Robert, Kelly, what are your thoughts?
Well, like I said earlier, I think we're all professional realtors here. We want to take listings. Mostly listing agents have the REO mindset. But I think the biggest thing is we need to go back to basics and focus on the current market as we position for the future market. And in terms of what's happening, hedge funds, huge. That's where most of my REO have come from. But building relationships with folks on this call, getting your network in line, get it in order, and then reaching out to Larry White, Jeff Russell, Eric Mangle, Kelly Jones, you get it, and network across the country and have a referral network, and you'll see what's going on. But I think commercial is going to be pounded. You're going to get a lot of commercial REO. That's going to be a market that's going to really surprise a lot of folks, I think, in my opinion. But just pay attention as a residential agent. You need to pay attention to the, what's going on in the pre-foreclosure space so you can see what's happening in the post. So I just think make sure you're educated. DS News is a great place to go to get updated on the default market. I think jumping on calls like this, Jeff has a call today, just being plugged in, paying attention. It's not the only thing that's going on in the market, but pay attention to it, because when it gets here, it's going to be like a freight train coming in, and it's going to leave the station really quick. And the folks that have positioned themselves for that market, that default market, which it will inevitably be here, those are the ones that are going to be on that train, and the other agents are going to be watching. So get plugged in is, I guess, what I would like to say.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think it's easy. It's easier to do now than ever. I mean, being plugged in, having your mastermind groups that you subscribe to, that you communicate with, and having your your smaller mastermind groups, maybe either people in your brokerage or your associations. Like some agents on here are NADP members, and some are NRBA, some are part of Force, or maybe US REO Partners. We all have our different groups that we're connecting with. I think that's important as well. Jeff, Kelly, any thoughts on markets next 12 to 36 months, where you guys see the industry headed, and what are some of the things that we can do to capture some of that market share over that time period? Some of the biggest opportunities that you see.
Yeah, I engage, like I heard, I think a couple people say, but property radar, I use that. Fish upstream, right? Look for the people that are in default before it goes REO or third party sale, because you can help those people, whether it's a short sale, which is rare right now with the equity, or a traditional sale. A lot of people are just putting their head in the sand and just don't, think it's going to happen. I mean, case in point, I have a neighbor, his home was worth 3.5 million. He only owed 2.9, and he let it foreclose. It wasn't intentional, but it was just a long story. But I mean, so get out there and reach out to help those people before they go into foreclosure, because I'd rather help them prior to going into foreclosure and being evicted, and it's just not a good look. And a graceful exit is much better than being evicted. So utilize those tools, fish upstream. And the other thing too, go after those hedge funds, because that's where the volume and the higher price volume. I mean, gosh, in the last I'd say 6-8 months, I've closed several multi-million-dollar REOs. It's been great. Again, I don't like to see people lose their homes, but I mean, heck, if you're going to get an REO, it doesn't hurt to have one that's got that hefty commission. And I see probably this REO wave that we're in is probably going to be much longer. It's going to give us the opportunity to get a lot more opportunity, because it's not all coming out at once, right? And falling through your fingers. It's if you're strategic and intentional about your prospecting, right? Then you're all going to do very well.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else you guys wanted to any other opinions on that particular question, that topic? So I'm going to just ask one last question here. Let me see what's the best one to ask. So as far as, we have 5-star coming up. I just registered today, got my plane ticket, my hotel room. If anybody's going to be going to that in our June newsletter, we'll have a Google Doc. But that kind of ties into the last question I want to ask, and which is, how important are industry relationships in the REO default space? Who do you recommend being aligned with? Jeff, you can't name everybody, because but I guess if you had to pick maybe two, not including these masterminds, like two organizations or two things that you would do to reach out to other entities in the REO space that are doing work that you could either mastermind or be aligned with, like who would you choose? Like who do you feel would be important partners to be aligned with? And again, these masterminds, I wouldn't, these are great. These are like, this is a pass, this is free for everybody to be on, but what are some of the other platforms and things that people can, and this is open to everybody, it's not just the panel, but we'll let the panel start.
I'll go first because I just was coaching somebody and they asked me, there's so many tools to purchase with REO. And what do I do? Where do I go first? What do I purchase? Do I join US REO Partners or NRBA? Do I get Property Radar? Do I join REO Network? And what I said is that first and foremost, it should be Property Radar, right? It's what, 60, $100 a month. That's going to help you get traditional business when you're fishing upstream. It's going to show you the defaults when they actually go default. You can research and figure out which hedge fund has that, is the beneficiary, who the trustee is, be able to contact those beneficiaries right when it goes REO. I've done that and gotten REO assignments. So that's first and foremost, and it's not that expensive. Second to that is, ResNet, Pyramid, Equator, all the portals, sign up for those. Pyramid's probably the first one I'd sign up for, right? And then ResNet. And then the next thing would be go to the events. The 5-star is number one in my opinion, and NADP, REO Mac, as we all know. And then lastly, join NRBA or USA REO Partners. Michael Krein, NRBA, I feel like that man put me on the map of REO. I probably would not be where I'm at today, REO-wise, in the space, if it wasn't for Michael Krein. So, but US REO Partners is a great group too.
All right, I'll open that same question up to the other panel members and then the whole network. We have time for it.
Yeah, I certainly want to echo Jeff's comment on RealMac, now NADP. NADP is you're surrounding yourself with hitters in the industry, people that really know what's going on. They really have their pulse on the market. They've got a good group. So NADP, I'd recommend. But I think the biggest thing when you're positioning yourself for the REO space, make sure you have actual listings to share with asset managers when they call you. Have you ever listed a home before? No. What are your chances of getting a listing from a bank? It's probably slim. Create your resume right now. Go out, help the sellers in the default space, build your resume. But I think the biggest thing is you need to sign up, like Jeff said, you need to sign up with every single opportunity out there. There's hundreds of them. Sign up for them. I'm not a big fan of spending money, at least initially. I want to sign up for every single free platform I can. ResNet, Equator, Pyramid as the base, REO Network, of course, but you want to sign up with every single one of them. Start doing BPOs. And a lot of these people, that's remedial for most of the people on this call, but it's back to basics. Start being a resource. So once you sign up, they're not going to come looking for you. You need to go out there and introduce yourself, stay in touch, stay in contact, start doing BPOs and really plug it into like NADP, I think would be the best one.
Thanks, Robert. Kelly, Larry, any thoughts on
I think there's arguments to be made for every one of these organizations. And as I teach agents across the country to build a business plan, don't be a jack of all trades and a master of none. Like, pick the one that you connect with the most and lean into it. Go to the meetings, show up, do the action items, etc. Like, if you're on a budget, make sure that you're on REO Alliance, right? It's free. Like most of these names, on this call with some of the biggest names in REO and default right now. And we're constantly sharing content and knowledge. It doesn't cost anything. So I would definitely be out there doing that. As Robert mentioned, I would be signing up for every portal I could imagine, right? I just want my name in the system at this point in time. 99% of those companies are going to come back and be like, hey, our network's full. This is where you can start gathering those contacts. Oh, this is the vendor manager. Hey, no problem at all. I know that that it's full. But if you ever need secondary opinions, if you guys ever need photos staged or anything like that, I'm happy to help out to build a rapport and relationship with you. Do things that other people are not willing to do to set yourself apart right now. Don't expect instant gratification because there's not a ton of business to what we're used to. So they may love you, they just may not have anything right now. This is about lining up for when that inventory comes and setting yourself up for the next 4 to 8 years.
Yeah, appreciate that, Larry. I definitely uh, echo those sentiments. Anybody else on the call that you want to promote any organizations that you're with? Anybody that we maybe we missed that should be a contender for an REO agent's time or attention? Anything you guys any thoughts on that? Sounds like we hit most of them. All right. Well, I appreciate you. I thought this was a good format. We didn't have I know, I forgot there was an REO certification or relocation certification with our brokerage today. So a lot of those agents that would have been on this call are on that call because we told them to be on that call. So we kind of messed up a little bit with scheduling, but we did record this call today. So we'll make sure we get this out in the REO newsletter, which will be coming out the first week of June. Also, the first week of June, that newsletter will have a Google Doc in it for 5-star. So if you think you're going to 5-star, let me know. I arrive on Sunday the 28th. I'll be there through Wednesday, October 1st. So I'll be there for 3 full days. I'm hoping to meet with as many agents as possible in Dallas. I believe there might be another conference going. Is there an IMN conference going on that time, or a mortgage conference going on in Dallas?
IMN is next week in Miami.
Okay, but I thought there was something going on in September in Dallas at the same time as 5-star. But either way, it doesn't matter. 5-star is our conference. We'll be there. I'm not sure. ADR has not finalized any plans for meet and greets or anything that we might be doing, but we are looking at it. So when you get that Google Doc, please fill it out, send it to me, and I'll start creating a database and list. Any final thoughts from anybody on today's call? I thought it was a good call, actually. I really enjoyed.
That's a great call. I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about in an hour with these same people. I guess the people that are in that REO certification can join my call.
Well, just do a chat GPT. You have the notes from today. Just say, create a agenda without saying anything that's in this particular set of notes.
There you go. That's a good one. Nice.
But yeah, I appreciate the panelists coming on today. Any final thoughts? I'm gonna end this call as soon as we have any final thoughts. So, all right, remember, make sure you jump on Jeff's call later today. I will definitely be on it. Jeff, what time was that again?
And bye. Sorry. I've got like 5 screens here. Today is 1:30 Pacific time.
1:30 Pacific. Okay, and the link is in the newsletter if you need it. It's also in the chat. And if you still need it, you don't have it, email me. Everybody should have my email. I'll get it right over to you. So thanks for everybody coming on today. I really appreciate everybody's time, especially the panelists. And we'll see you guys next month with Darren on the call for sure. So see you guys later.
All right. Bye, everyone.